Welcome back. Now, on our next story, yes, we are going to be talking about Donald Trump. And oh boy, I can already hear it in the comments right now. I can already hear the whiners going on their keyboards going, "Why do you have to talk about politics? Why don't you just stick to talking about animation and movies?" But here's the catch with this one. You see, this is about animation. This is about movies. It just so happens that Trump found himself to be intertwined with this with a crazy comment that he has made just yesterday, or the day before that I am recording this. And yes, folks, we are indeed going to be talking about some of Trump's stupid shenanigans, especially with his tariffs. So you can imagine, as a Canadian myself, I definitely have a lot to go and comment on that. But it's especially the case that now Trump decided that he's going to put tariffs on movies. Yes, on his social media site, Truth Social, Donald Trump has announced that now he wants to go and put a 100% tariff on movies that are not produced in the US. In fact, to go specifically like what he has said here, this is right over here in my source on Reuters, where it starts out by saying, convicted con man Donald Trump on Sunday announced a 100% tariff on movies produced outside of the country, saying the American movie industry was dying a very fast death due to the incentives that other countries were offering to lure filmmakers. And from there, it continues on by saying right over here, Trump says he was authorizing the relevant government agencies, such as the Department of Commerce, to immediately begin the process of imposing a 100% tariff on all films produced abroad that are then sent into the United States. He added, "We want movies made in America again." Commerce Secretary Howard Lutnick said on Twitter, "We're on it." Neither Lutnick nor Trump provided any details on how the tariffs would be implemented. It was unclear if the tariffs would apply to movies on streaming services as well as those shown in theaters, or if they would be calculated based on production costs or box office revenue. Hollywood executives were trying to sort out details on Sunday night. The Motion Picture Association, which represents the major studios, had no immediate comment. So that's the major thing that we are at right now, is that apparently Donald Trump wants to put in, quote unquote, 100% tariffs on movies that are being produced outside of the US. Now, I think it is safe to say there is one question to go and ask in all this. And pardon my language, but I feel like this is one of the few occasions where I feel like it is worth throwing out. What the fuck does that mean? Seriously, what the fuck does that mean? Putting in 100% tariffs on movies produced outside of the United States. It is such a vague term that honestly, people are just scrambling and just feeling confused as to what is it that he specifically means, or what is it that it's being affected. I feel like, honestly, if we are talking about, at minimum, like the movies that are fully done outside of the US, like the stuff like Bollywood films or films that are fully produced in Europe and stuff like that, like, is it just going to be on those specifically, and you're going to put in a massive tariff if they decide that they also want to be distributed in the US as well? Well, by the way, newsflash, because of that, there is now many speculations that Donald Trump has just screwed over anime, considering that anime is being fully produced outside of the US in places like Japan. And in that regard, people are now thinking that there is a strong possibility that because of these tariffs, that anime is pretty much going to be screwed over and would no longer be distributed in the United States. Like, it's not going to destroy the anime industry, of course, but it pretty much means that watching anime now is kind of being outlawed. And it's kind of crazy. And it's honestly, there's a little bit of schadenfreude, considering that there is a lot of Republicans who love anime or have pretty much made their entire lives based on anime. And Donald Trump decided to come in with these tariffs that they don't even know is a full-on attack on their personal lives. So there is that factor that maybe this means like the international movies. That means the US won't be seeing stuff like Bollywood or anime or European art house films or anything like that. Maybe that's what that means. Or there's also another meaning that it could be something that's a little bit more broad. And maybe he's just talking about movies in general in which their productions are made outside of the US, that they would go and film or create in places like in Canada or in Europe or in China or anything like that, that they would go abroad to go and create their films and then come back to the US to go and like fully distribute them. Like maybe that could be what that means, but I feel like so much of it is vague. And there's a part of me that there's something about it that feels absolutely confusing. And maybe this is because it's me. Maybe this is because it's my cartoon brain talking. But I'm just wondering, how does that apply to animation? Not just with animated movies, but just animation in general. Because the big thing with animation is that the grand majority, or I would say almost all animation, is produced abroad. That when they would go and make animation, like with movies or shows and stuff like that, generally the visuals that you see that end up in the final product, they would ultimately go and be produced abroad. They would be made in places like Canada or Korea or India or in Europe or in any other place other than the US, because it is cheaper to go and have it be produced there. Because but the thing is, here's the part where it kind of makes it a little bit confusing, because let's take an animated movie, for example, because the core element of an animated movie is generally produced in the US. That when it comes to stuff like the main foundation of a movie, like when it comes to the writing, when it comes to the editing, when it comes to the storyboards, when it comes to the concepts, when it comes to the character designs, when it comes to the main stuff, it is made in the US. But then when it comes to the final piece of the animation, like when it comes to the actual visuals that you do see in the actual movie, they would go into a different place, like in Canada, for example. Like, you know what? Considering let's use the Spider-Verse movies, for example, with Sony Pictures Animation, because technically in that regards, they would be the ones that would be directly affected by this, where the main stuff is done at Sony Pictures Animation in Culver City, with stuff like the writing, with the character designs, with the concept art, or maybe not necessarily in terms of the actual animation stuff, but like with the concepts, with the visuals, with the storyboard, with the editing. Generally, they would be made at Sony Pictures Animation. But when it comes to the visuals, they are done in Canada, specifically in Vancouver at Sony Pictures Imageworks. Now, maybe I might get some details a bit wrong in terms of the specifics of the production and how things work, but my point is that there is a blend where a good amount of it is done in the US, and then there's also another portion, or at least in terms of the visuals, they are done abroad, like in Canada. So my question is, how is that going to affect animated films, and how is that going to affect visual effects? Because there are also plenty of visual effects shops that are generally done abroad, and they would do so many works for major movies for the big companies out there. Like, are they also going to be affected as well? Like, if you have a movie that is full, that is produced in the United States, but then you got the visual effects that are done in some place like in Canada, would that also be affected by the tariffs as well? There's just so many of these questions and like a lot of these nuanced details that I feel like it makes no sense. It's honestly hard to understand, how would these tariffs even apply? How does that even work in the first place? None of this makes any sense whatsoever. And the craziest thing, I'll just go and say right now, not even Trump and the people of his administration know what he's talking about. Because this is actually something that did come out today, that apparently that they said that there's no final decision on how they can go and put on these movie tariffs. And they say that they're going to be exploring options. So literally, this is just a thing that Donald Trump just said, like, out of the whim, like he just speaks before he even thinks, and not even they know what it is. Movie theaters don't know what that means. People don't know what that means, and not even the people of Trump know what that means. And I highly freaking doubt that even Trump himself knows what that means. And you know, the craziest thing about this is that there is a part of this where I do understand the issue here. I do understand the need of wanting to bring more American productions back to the US so that there can be more films that are fully produced in the US, so that there can be more jobs happening in the US making these movies in general, whether it be live action or even in animation. And the thing is, though, is that I understand that there is that issue, and you want to bring in more jobs onto the United States so that they could go and make more movies. I get that. But Donald Trump's approach is just absolutely stupid. And the thing is that you have to understand, why is it that movie theater, not movie theaters, but why is it that these major studios decide to go, and that when they want to go and do a shooting or do it, well, okay, maybe bad choice of words regarding Trump, but when it comes, like, if they want to go and do a filming in another country, or if they want to have their animation be produced in a studio abroad, then in that regards, like, you have to think about why they would go and they would want to take action to have it be done not in the United States. And that is mainly because these other countries actually offer something to the studios. Like, I'm going to go and give you an example. With Canada, the reason why there have been a lot of American productions that are being done in places like Vancouver, Toronto, and Montreal is because because the federal government and even the provincial government, but they would go and provide them with tax credits. They would go and give them some benefits so that for them, if they choose to go and film at that location, in their location even, then they would go and make things easier for their budgets so that they can go and actually make it easier onto the budgets to go and actually do what they have to do, that they don't have to worry too much in terms of the cost compared to if they would go onto the US. Now, by that logic, a good businessman would go and look at that, and they would try to go and one up those other countries like Canada. If Trump really wants those movie studios to come back to the US to go and make full-on productions exclusively in the US, then he would have to go and put in better benefits, that there is a better reason, and that there is better tax credits, and that, there's better upgrades that these studios can have if they choose to go and do their whole productions in places like in California, in Georgia, in New York, in Massachusetts, in Washington, and all these other places. It would be, it's actually business smarts to offer them a better deal if they come and film it, or they come and work in the US and actually help the economy in the US by providing people with a lot more jobs working on these specific movies. That would be the good idea. But this is not how Donald Trump works, unfortunately. Because the thing with Trump is that you got to keep in mind that his philosophy is about the quote-unquote art of the deal. Now, if you've heard of Trump, then there is a possibility that you have also heard about the art of the deal. And to go and fully summarize it, to go and make a long story short of that, the art of the deal is basically that in a deal, there's always one who is a winner who walks off getting whatever they ask for, and there is a loser who got screwed over and is suffering because they lost. Like that is always the vision that Donald Trump has. That is the philosophy that Trump always has when it comes to business, when it comes to politics, when it comes to pretty much anything. There is always a winner and there is always a loser that is suffering. And the thing is with Trump is that he is so like, and not just Trump, by the way, this is Trump and all his supporters. They are so dead set on trying to make the other the loser, to try to make their opponent or to try whatever it is that they don't like to be the loser and to have them suffering. They do not recognize that they are the winner unless they see that the other is not only the loser, but that they are suffering from the fact that they have lost. And whatever it may be, they just need to see their opponent suffering to feel like that they are actually winning. And they will do whatever it takes. Like, regardless of laws, regardless of morals, regardless of ethics, they will do whatever they can in order to make the other suffer just so they can feel like they are the winner. Because the winners walk off with whatever they get while the losers are suffering. Because there cannot be a situation where both can walk off happily. For them, there are no two winners, or there's no compromise in this. For them, they want to ensure that the other is a loser and that the other is suffering from being a loser so that they can have that reassurance that they are a winner, no matter what. In fact, a great example of this, we have actually seen this from time to time, or we've seen this all the time with culture wars. This is how anti-woke people actually think. They're going to do whatever they can, and regardless of laws or morals or anything, even if it means continuously spreading death threats or continuously spreading misinformation in order to go and do so, they will do whatever it takes so that the thing that they consider woke or the thing that they don't like, it suffers no matter what. This is exactly why we see anti-woke people. They would be cheering and celebrating whenever they see a movie flopping at the box office, whenever they see people losing jobs, or when they see a company full-on shutting down. Because for them, that means that the other is suffering. And that means for them, it's a clear sign that they are winning. That's the mentality of how they work. For them, that is the art of the deal. And to go back with Donald Trump, with his tariffs, that's exactly what he is doing. He's trying to make the other to go and suffer. Rather it be with the other countries, especially with Canada, he wants Canada to go and suffer because they're not doing exactly what he says. And even with the movies, he thinks that by continuously attacking the people that don't do what they say, that's going to go and make him the winner. And he's not going to go and give any extra benefits to those who are actually doing what he says. Because the thing is that just by not suffering from Trump's wrath, that alone is a benefit that Trump can go and offer. Because all Trump and his supporters want to do is just attack again and again and again and again. And that is the logic of what Trump is doing with these tariffs. But in this case here, there's nothing about it that makes sense. And because of the vague nature of it, and because of the possible outcome that this comes with it, honestly, I don't see anything about this where I feel like the outcome is going to be beneficial to the United States. Honestly, I feel like it's only one of two things that's going to occur with these tariffs. It's either one, that these tariffs are such a terrible idea and they have received significant backlash, not just from the public, but also from some powerful people in Hollywood, that they will force Trump to go and back away from these tariffs, that they're not even going to happen. Or number two, that they're going to go with it and it's going to be a quick one-way ticket to recession. Like this is like it could possibly lead to the next Great Depression because of the amount of damage that it's going to do to the economy. In fact, there is honestly another thing that I've been thinking about is that maybe this is nothing more but just a desperate distraction. This is just to go and distract people from the horrible job that Donald Trump is doing. Like we already know that the economy is down in the tubes, at least in the US. And we also know that prices are still highly expensive and that Donald Trump's tariffs are not helping out whatsoever. Even though Trump and his team are desperately trying to pin the blame on Biden on this for some reason, the grand majority of people are not buying it. They know that the economy is doing badly right now because of Donald Trump and his stupid tariffs that he's trying to impose on all the other countries. And this one right over here, it does not help. Overall, honestly, I've seen a lot of really stupid tariffs, and I'm speaking this as a Canadian. Like, honestly, I've seen a lot of the ways that the tariffs are just screwing over, like, they're screwing over the American people, and especially they're screwing over Trump supporters more so than actual Canadians, because you got to keep in mind, it's not Canadians who are paying for Trump's tariffs, it's the American people. But with this one though, this is easily one of, or the dumbest tariff yet. It's just, there's nothing about it that feels like it works. And honestly, you're taking, like, it sounds like something that it's either you're restricting people from certain pieces of media, including anime, or you're taking off a very important gear off of a very powerful industry that's playing a huge part in America's economy, and you're just going to go and make things collapse. And this is something that you can't just solve your problems by continuously blaming liberals and somehow you would walk away with it without learning a single lesson. This is overall, this is just freaking stupid. And this is just another part of the big mistake of having Donald Trump as president, all because a bunch of illegals like Nazis, Confederates, evangelicals, and the Ku Klux Klan, and all these types of racists, they just want to be comfortable in their bigotry. This is exactly why conservative values should become illegal the second Donald Trump and his team are out of office. It's freaking ridiculous, man. It's just sheer stupidity. And yet we still have to deal with a few more years of this absolute freaking garbage. Like, honestly, it's also why I'm honestly glad that we got Mark Carney as our prime minister. And hopefully he's going to learn to, like, actually stand up to Trump and just, like, tell him to F off. Seriously, it's ridiculous, man. All right. So with that said, hopefully we still got time, but I would like to go and pass this on to the chat wall. And I'd like to ask you all, what do you all think about the whole tariff things? Can you make sense of this? Do you know what Trump is talking about with the tariffs? Well, I don't know. Let me know what you all think. Okay, let's see. This honestly pissed me off. Hearing that Trump could put tariffs on movies are awful. It was already bad enough that Trump is making worse for people with his tariffs on essentials like groceries, but now he's putting them on stuff like video games and movies, things to escape politics. Honestly, I don't care anymore. Trump is honestly deserves the Luigi Mangione treatment, and I wish the assassin unsubscribes him from life when he had the chance. Yeah, honestly, with this entire situation, it's just ridiculous. Like, now it's at the point where it's impossible to talk about politics because now with Donald Trump, just about everything is connected to politics and connected to his actions. It's becoming an unavoidable subject to go and discuss. And the more he tries to do these like reactionary things, the more destructive it's just going to be. It's stupid, I tell you. Anyways, okay, will this mean movie studios can only film in America? Otherwise, Georgia is going to get super packed as the only cheap studio location in the US. Also, what about outsourcing animation and effects? I want animated movies and shows to be made in-house in American animators, but I feel like it should be a win for the Animation Guild. However, I don't know if the guild could handle it. It might mean more animation studios in America could get work as the only non-tariffed option. Exactly. This is just stupid bullcrap that Trump would just go and like speak out, and that Republicans desperately try to make sense out of it and try to support it because for them, any criticism towards Trump seems to be illegal. It's like the time when like it's just like a few days ago when Trump says that he wants to be Pope and all his supporters have to say like, oh yeah, that's a great idea. Oh yeah, sure, it's great. He would make a great Pope. It's like, no, he freaking wouldn't. And it really shows that Trump supporters have no freaking respect for Christian values and why I do not consider a single Trump supporter to be a real freaking Christian, because you wouldn't let that shit slide. All right, let's see what else here. Just when movie theaters were starting to recover from the pandemic, Trump's senile and cholesterol-encrusted mind came up with yet another moronic idea that will deliver the death blow. Like, I don't know how he thinks he can fix the mess he caused with his stupid tariffs with more even stupider tariffs. What is even his plan anymore? Tariffing America into bankruptcy while making every country except for Russia hate us hardly seems like a framework for a prosperous American future. Exactly, man. It's like with all this, it's like, and especially with Trump, he's more known as a freaking con man. I mean, like, he's not even a good businessman. He has a history of like he had more bankrupts than actual successes. I mean, we're talking about the dude that bankrupted a casino. How the fridge do you bankrupt a casino? That should immediately tell you that he doesn't actually know what he's freaking doing. All right, let's see now. What other comments are there? You know that Star Wars, a film from 1977, was made in the UK and other countries. I guess President Felon didn't get the memo. Seriously, I have no freaking idea what he wants. Does he want movies to be made in America or banned everywhere international films like anime, aardman movies, or cartoon saloon movies? If he's trying to do that, I pray that he gets impeached again soon. He belongs in prison. Why did idiots vote for him? I get we want more stuff produced in LA, but this ain't it. Exactly. And honestly, this is the proof that, like, nah, America ain't great. If you are a good country, then you would have freaking thrown Trump in prison and whatever like populism garbage, like you would have freaking outlawed that crap. This is why America needs freaking socialism.